Hello. Come on in. How's everyone doing today? Come on in. Check in with me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Come on in, chosen ones. Come on in. How is everyone doing? I'm excited. I woke up in good spirits this morning. I woke up with a song on my heart. Had a good day. But come on in. So since I'm motivated, I woke up encouraged. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to encourage the chosen ones. Encourage you all to keep going. Encourage you all to keep praying. Encourage you all to keep fasting, keep believing, keep journaling, and don't give up. We're not going to give up. What we're not going to do is give up. We're not going to quit. Keep the faith, keep believing. Although you may not see it, you have to keep believing that things are going to get better. Things will get better. You have to believe that. You have to believe that whatever you are going through will get better, and that we all experience seasons. There are different seasons in our lives that we will experience different things. I just came out of a season of death and grieving. Like, I was losing so many family members back to back. And that was a season for me. And I had to deal with it. Still dealing with it. And then I went through a season of isolation. Had to go through it. You have to know and understand we're all going to go through seasons. But we have to get still enough, get quiet enough to recognize the season that we are in, so that we will not abort, right? We will not abort. We will not give up. We will not throw away and walk away from the promise. Because sometimes we have to experience the different seasons in our lives to get the lesson. Yes, we do. We have to understand the different seasons in our lives to get the lesson from that. To learn whatever that season is trying to teach us, we need to go through it to get that teaching. And it's not easy. And it doesn't feel good. I'm here to tell you it's not easy. It doesn't feel good. That's why we're the chosen ones. We can endure things that most people can't endure. What we have endured, most people have given up. Most people have thrown in the towels. Most people are not trying anymore. Average. But because we're chosen and we're set apart, we're different, we keep fighting. So I'm just here to keep encouraging you to keep going, regardless of what it looks like, what it looked like on the outside. You have to keep that belief and faith. You have to pull from a place. You have to pull from a place where you had to go as a child, unfortunately, to get away from situations and circumstances. You have to go to that place so that you can pull yourself up so you can keep fighting. And it may not be a good place, but sometimes you got to take yourself back to get yourself through. That's a good one there. Sometimes you have to take yourself back to get through. Because a lot of us learn how to cope and deal with different things that we were experiencing. We learn how to cope and deal with different things, right? We develop different characteristics to help us to get through dealing with situations and circumstances that we were going through that were painful. I was looking and listening to the Tyler Perry story. And he mentioned that when his dad used to abuse him, he used to take himself to a place in his head. He took himself out of his current situation took himself somewhere else and created a whole new space in his thinking. This is how powerful the human mind is. We are powerful. That's why you think commercials and all of these different apps are fighting for our attention, fighting for our mind. We spend countless times and energy scrolling through social media, TikTok, Facebook. They want our time and they want to get up in our head. If they can get what's in here between our ears, inside of our head, they can control us. Hmm. They can control. That's why the word tell us to renew our minds. We have to renew our minds because the mind is powerful. The mind is powerful. Listen, I'm gonna tell y'all. I used to read. Listen, when I was young, I stopped this foolishness though. Listen, when I was younger, I was into these and I mentioned this before. I was into those romance novels. Anybody know them little romance novels that used to be on the side of the counter on the checkout? All them little romance, exotic novels, having you all messed up in your head. And listen, all the seduction and all that. Oh yeah, I used to read them when I was younger. It's funny now. I don't read it now, and I'm very careful about what I read. But when you don't understand how powerful the mind is, you don't understand that your mind doesn't know the difference between what is actually real and what is fantasy, right? What is fantasy because your body is still excuse me, your body's still going through that emotion. And I used to read those seductive novels, and I'm not going to get into the details like what the novels were talking about, but they were just seductive. And I just be sitting there fantasizing, fantasizing with this foolishness with these novels. Okay. So the mind is powerful, and those feelings and emotions, I would feel those emotions just by reading those novels. That's how powerful the mind is. We can put ourselves in a place. Some of you all could cry on a dime instantly because you remember a hurt, you remember accident that happened years ago. That's how powerful the mind is. Although you know that it happened years ago, but that emotion is still present. That emotion comes and it still um penetrate your heart and your emotion. You still can go through it. So we have to be careful with our minds. That's why some people slip into dark places. That's why um you hear people say sometimes he has lost his mind. And to be honest, if you think about it, people really do lose their minds. They lose it because they get so caught up in life and grief and emotion and get caught up in just the world that you slip and you lose yourself. Yes, you can get it back, but if you go too far down the rabbit hole, it's hard to come back. It's hard to come back. That's why we have to stay present. Stay present and not go so far down to where you lose yourself. I'm just encouraging you all to not give up, Greta. That's it. I just came to encourage you all to don't give up and keep fighting. But you know how I talk. I just get all up on one topic and going on to the next. But it's just encouragement to keep fighting. We were just talking about the mind, and I was just saying how important it is to make sure you keep track, to monitor what you allow into your mind, to stay present, to stay current. Yep. But that's okay. With those who are watching, that's okay. People usually catch the replay, but this message is for somebody, you know. That's all. But yeah, you have to keep your mind, because we all have been in this place. I don't come and talk to you all from a place of being a hypocrite. That's not me. But we all been in this place to where we were in a situation. When you were in the situation, you could not understand and you couldn't see your way out of it because you're in it and you're so wrapped up in the emotions, and everything has you tied down emotionally and spiritually. But when you get out of that thing and you start to heal and you start to get your mind focused on things that are good that you were not able to focus on before, you think to yourself, what was the world? What in the world? What in the world? We say, what in the world? Or what was I thinking? I wasn't in my right mind then. I couldn't have been in my right mind. We ask ourselves that once we get out of certain situations, like, I knew I had to be in a broken place, because now you're in a healthier place and you see that the place you're in now, there is no way you would have made the decisions that you made then, because now you're in a healthier place. A lot of times we make decisions based on where we are. If we're broken in who we are, we're going to make broken decisions. You're going to connect with people who are broken. That saying that they used to tell us in school, like attracts like. There is something in me or something in you that attracted somebody to you. I don't know if it was your trauma, your lust, your perversion, something. You all were attracted on some level. That's how come when you get out of a situation and you look back and you think to yourself, what in the world was I thinking? I had to be unstable in my mind. And most likely, most of us do. We don't have the knowledge. Yes, it is, Greta. We don't have the knowledge. That's why I encourage people. Listen, I encourage people to not get in a relationship unless they have dealt with their traumas, unless they're not, make sure you're not codependent, make sure you're not a people pleaser. Don't date until you're healed. Don't get in a relationship until you're healed. You need to be whole within yourself. Because when you get into these relationships, when you're broken, you're going to expect another broken person to be your everything or to complete you, because you're not whole within yourself. That's how most people end up in these toxic relationships for so long, because they're not healed. In that trauma bond, it's so hard to break. You have to break that thing on a spiritual level. You have to walk away and give yourself time to heal. That's why people break up, go back, break up, go back. That trauma and that dysfunction keeps you keeps you bonded. That dysfunction is familiar to you because you grew up in dysfunction. Your mama was dysfunctional. Your family, grandparents, your foster parents, your community, something was dysfunctional to where you got in a situation that resembled that dysfunction. It felt normal to you. hmm It felt normal. That's why you didn't see anything wrong with it. But I didn't want to get all off on that. That'll be another topic. But stay encouraged. Don't give up. That's what I came to tell you. Don't give up. Stay encouraged. Keep doing the work. Some of you all about to give up. You got to keep doing the work. Don't worry about being in isolation. You need to be isolated. You need to be by yourself. You need to learn to be by yourself. You came in this world by yourself. You're going to leave by yourself. This is just temporary. Don't think it's for a lifetime because we need people. We do need people. I'm not one of those that encourage folks to not trust anyone or be by yourself. No, it's a time and a season for that. You may be in a season of isolation. We need each other. You can't go to the store, right? Well, probably with these robots, we will be able to do it in the future. But we need each other. Period. We can't do it without each other. So, hey Matt, how are you doing, dear? You're welcome, dear. That's why I came on. I knew somebody needed it. I can feel my chosen ones. We're connected on an energetic level. Yes, just don't give up. That's what I want to encourage you. Don't give up. Keep going. You have to believe that what you're going through is not in vain. There are lessons in this, and we got to remember. Let me tell you something. I had to learn this. Everything is not the devil. Because we'll say the devil, we'll give the devil too much credit. Everything is not the devil. Everything is not the devil. Sometimes God got to take us through things to strengthen us, to build our character, because most of the chosen ones, we were people pleasers. We were people pleasers. We're so nice. We had people tell us we're too nice, gullible, naive. And most of us are or were, because we're coming up out of that. We're still going to be nice, but now we have boundaries with what we do. We don't give our kindness and goodness and energy so freely now. We are reserved with our energy now because we know we got that juice. We know it's important. Our energy is important. That's why people are always trying to siphon it and always trying to, you ever had people always trying to trigger you, get you to say things. That's why silence from a chosen one is golden. Keeping your composure, ignoring people when you know they're trying to get your attention. You ignore them because when you ignore them, that drives them crazy because they want your attention. They want that energy from you. People will be doing all kind of craziness. I like to play around with my daughter a lot, and I was doing something silly, trying to get her attention, knowing she's doing something, but I'll go and, do something. She was like, "Mom," she was like, "You just want me to say something." Yes, that's what it is, and that's what people try to do to us. What I just explained to what I do to my daughter because I just be provoking, trying to get her attention. People do that to us to get our attention. And it gives them fuel. People get a satisfaction off of arguing and getting your attention, getting you to focus on what they're doing. Want your advice. What do you got to say? Nothing. I don't have anything to say. They want your opinion. Sometimes it's just good to not say anything. I learned that. It's something hard for me because I love to talk. I learned just to sit and be quiet. Sit, be quiet, and look. That's something hard for me because I love to talk, but I learned that it's needed. I don't always have to be talking. Silence is golden. You don't have to you don't have to overshare either. That's another thing I used to do. Another thing, sorry, I'm talking so fast. Another thing I used to do was overshare. You don't have to overshare. You don't have to tell people everything. Tell them on a need to know basis. But when you overshare, that comes from being abused. Sometimes when you have been abused, you tend to tell too much because you want to make sure people believe you and understand you and get your point. So sometimes you try to give clarity for what it is that you're doing or why you're doing something. That's what oversharing comes from. And we try to explain ourselves so that people, would get us and understand us. I used to do that. But now I don't do that anymore because you're going to think what you want to think. One thing I've learned, you can't control people. And no matter how good you are to people, in their twisted mind, in their twisted head, whatever perception they have of you is how they see you. It's not how you are trying to get them to see you. It's how that brain of theirs operate. They're going to see you how they see you. And there's nothing you can do about it. So you oversharing, trying to explain yourself. And sometimes people want that. Like I said, from us, the chosen ones. People want us to go trying to spin our wheels and justify and clarify and, prove and all that. They like to see us in that state. But when you no longer do that, oh, you send them for a spin. You send them, see, people think it's mean and nasty and ungodly to not deal with these I call them demons, to not deal with these evil folks. You don't have to deal with these evil people. And they'll want to find scriptures to justify. No, no, you got to love yourself first. It's plain and simple. Love yourself. And you don't love yourself if you allow people to abuse you. That's point blank, period. As Tony Gaskins was point blank, period. You don't love yourself. If you sit and let somebody abuse you, if you're sitting and letting somebody abuse you, mistreat you, and you just sitting there like a little stiff stuffed animal, not doing anything, not saying anything, you don't move out the way, you don't give them you don't set boundaries, you don't tell them, you just sit there. No, you don't have to subject yourself to that. That's not love. Love yourself. We skip that. Mm-mm. And you ever notice it's always the people who are evil and who are the abusers, the ones who inflicting the pain, or people who want to justify, keep you in that cycle. This is always them that want to tell you what the Bible says. And they need to flip that Bible on them, flip that word on them. Because people are no longer allowing other people to use the word of God as a weapon to keep people in bondage. Some folks just use it, try to keep you in bondage, to keep you stuck in their abuse cycles. That's not right. That's not right. And in my head, that don't make sense to me. Yes, yeah, and that's all right, Greta. That's what we all have to. I had to go through my healing as an adult because you feel abandoned by your parents if you didn't have your parents there, or if you were adopted, or if you had your parents, they were abusive, or they were not good parents, or if you had parents that parented how their parents parented, so the cycle continued. We all have to overcome and get through stuff. But when you become an adult, that stuff, you got to be responsible for that. That's why we got the responsibility channel. That's why this channel is here. Once you become an adult, you got to carry your own cross, carry your own burden. Because half of our parents, you got to remember, half of them coming out of post-slavery. And how they were taught is just how they were taught. They experienced trauma. So they passed that trauma down to you. And you passed it down to your children and your children and the children's children. So we got to unlearn that. And it's okay to unlearn it. We got to unlearn it. And it's going to feel strange and wrong. And it's going to go against the dynamics of how things were has always been done, but you have to break that. You don't keep passing down trauma, and hopefully your children will do things different or try to learn things different from what you were taught. I've mentioned this several times in our videos. If you look like me, you got brown skin. Most of us, compared to our, you know, peach counterparts, our voices were stripped from us. It's hard for us to speak up. And then when we do speak up from being oppressed and suppressed for so long, people think that you're coming off as rude and angry. And no, you have to understand where people are coming from. When a person has been suppressed for so long and they finally find their voice, it's going to be hard to shut them up. No matter what you do, it's going to be hard for them to be quiet. So they're going to speak and say what they need to say because for so long they were suppressed. I understand that from anyone. Peach, brown, blue. I understand that. When you lose your voice and you're afraid to speak up, and then you finally find the strength and the courage to muster up, to say something and to put a boundary down without, feeling afraid. And you see how good that feels. Oh, people got hell on their hands. People got hell on their hands. You're not going to be the same. People are not going to receive you the same. People are going to hate you. They don't want to deal with you. They're going to stop idolizing you because you're not the same person. You're not the same pushover, people please, or run over. You're not being quiet. People love you when you're quiet and they can run over you and do what they want to do to you. But as soon as you stand up and say, no, you're not going to treat me like that. I'm not going to accept that and tolerate that. No, you're not going to do that to my children. You're not going to say that to my child. Okay? I don't feel good when you do that to me. When you speak and you speak with authority and you speak like you mean it, oh, people are not going to like that. They're not going to like it. They're really going to lie on you then, slander you, talk about you. They were talking about you before, but now it's going to be turned up 10x because you're using your voice. People love to control your voice. Some of the most dangerous people was taken out of here, not because they had weapons. They didn't have weapons. They didn't have nothing to destroy a city and to dismantle it. But what they did have was their voice. The voice is powerful if you use it right. They had their voice. And people are always trying to silence you. They're always trying to make you shameful. And see, this is why when you're ever on a platform and you got content, you're on social media, you're running for office and you're out in the public. Excuse me. Whenever you put yourself out there, you got to accept whatever comes with it. Right? You got to accept whatever comes with it because people are always looking to silence you. But you have to be strong enough to where it matters, to where you can admit your own flaws and shortcomings, because that's going to silence them. They want you to be silent, but no, you admitting to whatever it is that they're trying to say or come and clean or whatever skeletons you have in the closet. It's good to admit those up front so you can quiet them, so they won't try to quiet you. Because people will do that. They'll try to go dig in your past and bring up stuff. You got to be willing to. That's part of it. That's part of it. But you have to be okay with your past because we all have a past. Trust me. We all have a past. We all have some things that we don't want nobody to know we did. Some people take things to the grave because they're so embarrassed and shameful. And like so, you know, like so, you're supposed to. Because everything is not meant for everybody. Sometimes you're not in a healthy space in your mind. And you do things that's out of your character. That's why they say it's out of character. That's not something you normally would do. But because you're connected to certain people, right? You did something because you're connected to people who act a certain way, who do certain things. So you probably felt pressure to do it. You probably felt pressured, and you felt bad for doing it after you did it. But because the pressure and the peer pressure was so great, you did it. You did it. You did it because everybody else was doing it. You did it because that's what your environment does. We've all been there. It is, Greta. Yep. Company you keep is so important because they will influence you to do what they're doing. And will get mad if you don't do it either. And we'll get mad. Yep. So that's what I came. I came to encourage you all. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep fighting. I'm a fighter. Listen. I may get knocked down, but I'm not going to stay down because I know I got the power to change myself from within. My joy comes from me. My happiness comes from me. Everything you all are looking for, happiness, joy, you know, what else we look for outside of ourselves. I did a post the other day, probably came out today because I pre-planned them, talking about how we think what we want is outside of us. We think happiness, joy, we think that is outside of us. We were taught that somebody else supposed to give us that. No, that comes from within. That comes from within. When you heal and you know who you are, then you will find the joy that you're looking for, the love, and then you become a whole person. You become a whole person, and then when you get with someone else, you're just adding to them. You're adding. But what most of us do, we're so broken and we're looking for certain things. Then when we get with someone, we want them to give us what we're missing. And only God can give you that. Your children can't give you that. Don't put that pressure on them kids. They can't fulfill you. Your spouse can't fulfill you. You can enjoy your spouse or your partner, your significant other, but they're not responsible for filling whatever you have missing. That's between you and God. And we do that when we're not healed. We go to people, and that's where these trauma bonds come in at. You get with someone, they got mommy issues, or you get with someone, they got daddy issues. Then if it's the woman's trying to get from her partner what her dad didn't give her. Then if it's the man want the woman to mother him and raise him up. No, that's trauma. You need to heal. You don't need to be in a relationship. If you void of anything, you don't need to be with nobody. If you missing something, you need to go get yourself together, heal, and then talk about dating and getting married. It's not your spouse's responsibility to fill you up. Mm-mm. Those voids need to be filled by God. Only God can fill those voids. Only God can fill those voids. When you get your boo, when you get your well, I don't know my bag. I need a purse. I don't know my purse at. But when you get your spouse, this supposed to be your spouse right here. This you, and this your spouse. Your spouse is an accessory. Mhm. Extra. Your spouse is not supposed to complete you and put a puzzle, you know. No, you're supposed to be already filled. And your spouse is going to come add to your life. Yes, an accessory. Add. He shouldn't be miserable. She or he shouldn't come and you just miserable. Y'all hate each other, don't like each other, can't get along, you don't talk. Who want to be in something like that? That's when you know, if you got a relationship like that, that's when you know it was built on trauma. It was built on trauma and brokenness. because you're supposed to be enjoying your spouse. Not that you're not going to, get mad at them or not like something they did. No, no, because we're human. No, you're supposed to enjoy them, have fun, and talk about things if you all have a communication issue. Because we're human. It is hard for two humans to live together, get to know each other, figure out their likes and dislikes. That person is not going to come in and be your everything. Only God is your everything. You're supposed to be whole within yourself, and that person is supposed to add to you, not take away, add. That's why communication is so important. You communicate those things. Don't get mad at the person because they're not who you want them to be to you. You be that for yourself. You heal yourself. They can't fill your voids because no matter what that person does, this is how you know you're not in a you're not in a healthy situation, because some of you all are giving. You're so empty. You don't gave everything to a person. You don't broke yourself down. You about to, you trying to give. You running on fumes, and you just giving, 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 giving. The person sitting there like, I don't care. They unappreciative. They don't care what you're doing for them because they're not healed. They don't see the value in you, and you don't value you because you're trying to give something to somebody who don't appreciate it. If you knew who you were, the first time you saw that a person was unappreciative, you would have been out of there. Second time, because first time you'll say something, second time you'll give them a chance, and you're out. Because some people so needy and so you're so needy and so unappreciative because they're not healed. They put you on a pedestal. They idolized you. They want you to be something in their head that you can't be, and that's not fair to them. And vice versa. You can't create people to be who you want them to be. You can't build a man or build a woman. They only can be who they are. And if they're not healed, I don't care what you do. If they're not constantly working on themselves, getting deliverance, getting therapy, looking introspectively, they're not going to change. The only thing they're going to change is their victims, who they're abused. They're going to change victims. They're not going to change. Change comes when you acknowledge and you say, you know what? I'm going to take responsibility for my actions, for myself. I need to get myself together. That's when change comes. When you can say, it's me. I need to get myself together. Oh, you become untouchable. You become a force to be reckoned with. When you finally say, you know what, it's my fault. I sat here and allowed them to abuse me all them years because I wasn't healed. It's not their fault. They did what they could do, but I allowed it. I allowed it. When you say I allowed it and you move on, you become so much better and happier because you're not putting the blame on nobody else. Now you can focus on getting yourself together. It was like, why did I allow myself to go through this abuse for so long? What was I thinking in myself? Where was my mindset that I sat and I experienced this pain after pain, year after year after year? You got to say to yourself, there was something in me. I have legs. I'm not a tree. I could have been walked away. When you talk to yourself like that, it's up from there. It's up from there. I hope this encourages you all. When you finally can look yourself in the mirror and you ask yourself them questions, I'm gonna work on my book, the ebook, because I know you all want some of that book on a physical copy, which will be good too, because you get to write in it instead of trying to print the ebook. You can write in the physical book. But you ask yourself those questions, it'll help you. It'll help you. Those questions, those 30 questions will help you. Oh, that would be great, Matt. I didn't know you all want audiobooks. Actually, I do have in my booklet to create some audiobooks. Mm-hmm. Yep, to create some. Or even like little motivational recordings. So you probably can play in your car just to, uplift you and motivate you. Maybe I'll do me a motivational CD, kind of like what Tony Gaskins and Eric Thomas, kind of like what they did. Maybe I'll work on that too. I got a lot of things coming for 2024. I just got to stay focused and keep myself together. But I just want to encourage you all. Once you look at yourself and stop blaming other people, it's up from there. Yes, it's up from there. When you finally can look at yourself, say it was my fault. Even if you know it wasn't your fault. Like you didn't ask to be abused, right? You didn't ask for somebody to mistreat you. You didn't ask for it. You just allowed it, right? But even in that, you can still say, you know what? It's my fault. Like I said, you got to ask yourself, where was I in my head space? Close your eyes and ask yourself, like, where was I? What was I thinking? Why did I endure this for so long? Why did I not speak up for myself? Right? Because most of the time, what it is, we be afraid. We be afraid to lose things because when we have not healed those childhood traumas, that codependency kicks in. That codependency kicks in. Yes. When you say I allowed it, oh, that's some accountability that no person can take from you. When you sit back and say I allowed it, it was my fault. Ain't nobody's fault. Oh, it wasn't his fault. Wasn't my husband's fault. Wasn't my ex-husband. Wasn't my ex-wife. It wasn't my child. It wasn't my grandparents. My parents. I tell you a story about my parents. It wasn't, you know, yeah, it wasn't them. Even in that awakened life when you were 6. How old are you now? No, it wasn't your fault then. Come in. Hey, baby. How are you doing? Hey. Give a hug. What's my baby? I love you. Mom. How was school? That was good. Yeah. I had strawberry for lunch. You ready for tomorrow? Hmm? Yeah. You have practice tonight, but we'll talk about it at 6. 6? Yeah. Dad's gonna pick you up. Okay. Yes, awaken life. Yes. Even when you were 6, yes, it's not your fault. You don't have you got and see what I'm saying is, and I don't want you all to get off on a tangent and go to thinking too deep about this. If you are an adult now, is your responsibility. It's your responsibility. As an adult, you got the choice now and the option to say, you know what? I didn't have control over what happened to me when I was 6. But now that I'm 26, I'm not going to allow that to keep me in arrested development when I was 6 years old. Yes, it hurts. And whatever I need to do to get past it, I need to get past it. If I got to journal, if I got to pray, if I got to get deliverance, if I got to fast, if I got to see a therapist, whatever you need to do to comfort the 6-year-old you, to bring you back up to 26, whatever age you are, that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. And I'm telling you, it's power in that. It is power and healing in that. Knowledge, there's deliverance when you get new knowledge.
shepherd, right?
Yeah, I think so. Mhm. There is deliverance when you get knowledge. You really don't have to do anything else but get new knowledge. A person don't have to lay hands on you. Once you get new knowledge, it can change your entire perspective. You're like, oh, that's why I did that. Oh, that's why that happened. And you'll go down another rabbit hole because you'll go to seeing. When you get the knowledge, you go to assessing and looking back. Oh, my environment set me up for this, right? My environment, I got to think about the environment that I was in, the family that I came from, what's continuing in the bloodline, right? You go to thinking about all this stuff, then you say, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, my mama wasn't taking care of me and watching me because her mom didn't take care of her and watch her. You go to thinking about different things. Not saying that you're justifying, but you get a new knowledge and you have more of an understanding of why things happen. Mm-hmm. And you talk yourself through it and sit down. That's why meditation and you sitting down by yourself, getting quiet. That's why it's important. It's important because you can ask yourself questions and wait for the answer. The inner God in you will give you the answer. When you get quiet, you don't need nobody else. You don't need me to give you an answer. When you get quiet and you ask yourself a question, you sit and wait for the answer. God will answer you. That voice will answer you and show you. But we're so distracted. We're distracted more than ever now. It's almost impossible to sit down and be quiet. Because you got your phones, you got your emails, you got Facebook. As soon as you get up, you're listening. It's almost impossible. So many distractions. That's why I get up early in the morning. That's the only time I have. Because by the time I come home, my son gets home, homework, or I'm cooking, or I plan to go work out, or I got some other thing to do. Once the morning is the best time. Because once you start that day, you're 100 miles per hour. But we sit down and ask ourselves those questions, we can get through it. We can get through it. And I know for the new year, which I planned on doing it last year or this year, but I had so much going on. But I know for sure 2024, I know I'll be doing more in-depth coaching, like group coaching, and just sharing like my personal experiences and how I got through different things. And it's all life will teach you. You don't need to go. Everybody like to ask what kind of life coaching certification you got. Life was my certification. All them years of hell was my certification. The abuse certified me. And it ain't fun. It's just I'm saying about the certification. Like, no, life certified me. A certified life coach because I've been through life. And see, we get so caught up and we got to change our minds about different things. The world has got us so caught up into, and you want people to be serious about their craft. You want people to be certified and you know um do the work to make themselves more reputable, right? To make themselves more reputable as far as people trusting and believing in what they're um doing and offering. But at the same time, if what a person is saying resonate with you, you don't need no certification. That resignation is a certification. Them speaking your language is the certification. Come on now, let's act like we know. Come on now. People having an understanding of what you are dealing with. That is the certification. Because you got some people that are certified that haven't experienced life. I doubt you certified in life if you're a 20-year-old. You still got to live. You still got to live. You haven't experienced enough life yet. Sometimes you can't experience life because I've experienced now, and I'll take that back to this degree. Because when I was 20, I had experience in my teens more than what people in their 30s have experienced. Sometimes you still need wisdom to be able to apply what you have experienced and to be able to understand. Because sometimes we don't understand why we had to go through certain things. We still got some people in their 50s and 60s still not understanding why or what they went through and how to get through it. That's where wisdom come in at. Wisdom will come in and explain and show you a different way to process that thing. That's why I say knowledge will help deliver you. Knowledge, wisdom. When you get new information it'll help deliver you. Because you'll be like, I didn't look at it that way. Because see, in our heads, when we've been hurt so bad, we only see it one way. We only look at it from one way, and that's the way of hurt. Come on now. I'm not laughing at your pain, but we only see that thing one way. We only see it one way, and that's in pain. You hurt me. You abused me. But some people come along and give you wisdom to help you look at that pain as something that came to strengthen you. What can you learn? What lessons did you learn from that? So now you can take all that pain you went through and you can reach out and help somebody else. And when you do that, let me tell you, I didn't get completely healed till I started this channel. Till I started this channel, talking to you all, helping you all, coaching some of you all. That's when I started getting my healing, because guess what? I started helping other people. When you start helping other people, that's when your healing comes too. Your healing comes when you start sharing your story, because the more you talk about it, the less painful it is. That's why some of you all are hurting so bad. That's why some of you all are so sick. You're sick in your body. Your soul is sick. Your mind is sick. Your spirit is sick because you suppressed that pain for so long. You never told a soul. Some of you all never told a soul what you have experienced because you're so ashamed. But you tell that first person, watch how that burden lifts up off you, that pain, that shame. I know I experienced it. I experienced it. When I first spoke my truth, when I first spoke my truth and just started sharing people my different, obstacles and things I was dealing with, because we're always going to be dealing with something. Come on now. I don't care how old we are. We're going to be dealing with something. But it's those things that we suppress is what I'm talking about. Those things we suppress for so long that we don't want nobody to know. You have to tell somebody. That's the only reason therapy is so effective. Therapy is not effective because of the different tools they give you and this, that, and the other. No, it's because you get to talk to somebody you feel you trust. You get to talk to them and you don't feel judged. If you find a good therapist, you don't feel judged and You don't feel like they're, looking down on you and judging you. That's all. That's the only reason it's so effective, because you get to release onto them. You get to release what you have inside onto your therapist, and you feel better about that. Same thing with the coach. You get to tell your coach things that you wouldn't tell anyone else. That's the only reason it feels good and seems like it's helping, because you're releasing, you're confessing. That's a confession. Confess your cares one to another. People just figured out a way to get paid for that. That's all. And yes, they'll give you different tools and strategies to help you cope and deal, but that's what that is. So now I really got to go, you all. Be blessed. I got to get ready to get me and my son ready to go. You all be blessed. I look forward to 2024 with you all, but I'm going to finish this 2023 out. I'm not going to go too far in 2024. Just be here present in the moment. Y'all be blessed. Stay encouraged. Don't give up. Keep fighting. Keep journaling. Keep praying. Keep stay, isolated until you get to where you're strong enough and you have dealt with what it is you dealt with. Isolation is only for a season. We're so codependent, we can't be isolated for a season. It's not going to hurt you to be isolated for a year, for 3 months, 6 months, 8 months. It's okay. And when you come out of isolation, you're gonna get that husband you're looking for, that wife, if that's what you want, because you have dealt with you. Now you can attract better. You can look at people from a healthy perspective now. You know what is right for you. Especially if you don't jump out of you just getting out of a toxic relationship. This is not the time for you to try to go get up under someone else. You need to get up under the healing you need. Get up under the Lord to get healed, so you can make different, better choices. Get to know yourself. Love on yourself. Do things for people. Go help the poor. Go be a community activist. Go feed the homeless. Find out who you are. So when you come from out that isolation, you're going to be somebody's good thing. You're going to be somebody's good thing. And it's going to be healthy, and you can be happy if that's what you're looking for. Not out of desperation, because so many people are desperate nowadays. They're desperate and thirsty, and you're going to drink something that you don't want to drink. You're going to be, like they say here, you're going to be drinking some of the devil's juice. You don't want to drink that. You don't want to drink that. So you all be blessed. Get yourself together, heal yourself so you can attract better and be happier and do all those things that you wanted to do. So you can have an accessory. The person that would be an accessory, like my cup. This is an accessory to me. This cup don't make me. This is an accessory. Okay? Yes. Oh, Matt, we still going to the promised land. 2024, we're going to eat them fat grapes. Oh, we surely are. We're going to have the fat grape experience over in 2024. So you all be blessed. You all be blessed. I love you all. And I'll be back later, okay? Enjoy your evening.